Hello, and welcome to the inaugural Bazaar Bulletin, your ANZ competitive Magic update. I'm your host, Ben, and I'm excited to be talking to you today about the upcoming Magic the Gathering Pro Tour Final Fantasy. We're going to cover off who is representing the ANZ region, how they qualified, and what's on the line for them as individuals. Before we get any further, a huge shout out to Josh and Pat's MtG Bazaar, who are sponsoring this series. If you haven't come across them before, they run daily auctions on their Facebook page, covering everything from high-end collectibles all the way through to standard staples. They have a website coming soon, but for now, check out the link in the description below for their Facebook page. PT Final Fantasy will be mixed format, with 3 rounds of Final Fantasy Draft followed by 5 rounds of Standard on the Friday, for those who managed at least 4 wins, or 12 match points, to return on the Saturday and do it all again. After 16 rounds, the top 8 players will be invited to play on Sunday for the trophy, and the whole event has a total prize pool of $500,000. Just turning up guarantees you $500, however, no one aspires to last place. Each player will have different personal goals that they'd love to achieve, but after making the second day, what a lot of these players will really want to do is re-qualify. To do that, the equation is simple: 10 wins from 16 rounds. So who are the players representing the ANZ region at Pro Tour Final Fantasy? Nicholas Talbot, Sebastian Vernkoon and Junhao Yang all qualified by top 8ing the Modern RC in Sydney back in March. And I'm excited to say that for each of them, this will be their first Pro Tour. We wish them the best of luck and hope they manage a smooth journey and a good night's sleep, as that's the first step to calming the nerves and excitement that I'm sure they are feeling. Our next group of players are all returning to the PT after a spell, with each of them qualifying by finishing the top 10 at Regional Championship 8. Christopher Tong is playing his second Pro Tour, last appearing at Dragons of Tarkir all the way back in 2015. Henry Sams is also competing in his second Pro Tour, with the 2023 showing at Pro Tour Lord of the Rings, his previous appearance. This is James Arthur's 4th showing, with an appearance at Pro Tour Thunder Junction last year, but his best ever result came 1 year earlier at Pro Tour March of the Machine, with an impressive 18th place finish at his first ever Pro Tour. This is Colin Harris's second Pro Tour, but his last one was all the way back in 2013 at Pro Tour's Dragon's Maze. That's a long time between drinks. Last but not least is Thomas Bott, with his second Pro Tour appearance. He also managed to qualify for Worlds after he won the Regional Championship 8 in Sydney. His previous appearance was at the Players Tour Online 3, which happened to be a very good tournament for Australian players. Our final group of players will have different equations and goals to everyone we've already talked about, hoping for 10 wins and requalification. For this next group, their appearances and successes in either Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3, Aether Drift, or both means that they've already accumulated some number of adjusted match points, the system that enables the most consistent contemporary players to get and stay on the PT train. Pro Tour Final Fantasy will be Team Quality Line's Nathan Bass's 4th Pro Tour, and with 10 adjusted match points at Pro Tour MH3 or Pro Tour Nadu, 29 more adjusted match points would qualify Nathan for the next 2 Pro Tours. While accumulating AMP helps to fuel the chain, for all intents and purposes, Nathan will still be targeting 10 wins to springboard his chances to qualify for future Pro Tours. Having qualified from back-to-back regional championships, Team Worldly Council Zen Miyagi Thorn won 16 adjusted match points at Pro Tour Aether Drift, meaning a 10-win finish would get Zen to 21 out of the remaining 23 required to qualify him for 2 future Pro Tours. In addition, this will mark Zen's 15th Pro Tour, an absolutely massive number. This is Sean's 3rd Pro Tour, and coming off a stunning 23rd place at Pro Tour Aether Drift, Sean only needs 6 more wins in Las Vegas to qualify him for the next 2 Pro Tours. Team Bus Stop's Matthew Judas's 4th Pro Tour, having qualified by winning 10 times at Pro Tour Aether Drift, means 7 more wins at Pro Tour Final Fantasy will be good enough for 2 more invites for Matt. The last ANZ regular representing the region in Vegas, Team Quality Line's Jose Gabriel Hilario, has been very successful in the modern era of Pro Tour Magic. I'm very excited to say that Jose sat down with my friend and fellow Team Bus Stop member Dillon Kikkawa earlier to talk about his experience with Magic. Over to you, Dillon.
Thanks for that, Ben. I'm Dylan, and I'm here today with our inaugural Bazaar Bulletin guest, Jose. Jose, please feel free to introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Jose. I am a Magic grinder based in Melbourne. Um, Play a bunch of competitive events. Have been on the PT for a while. By a while, I mean about a year and a half now. Yeah, really, yeah, keen to talk Magic with you today.
So you've been playing Magic for 15 years then? Is that correct?
Yeah, so just about 15 years. I started in 2010. Yeah, exactly.
And when did you play your first competitive tournament?
First competitive tournament was an FNM, using said Naya standard deck with Blood Red Elf Lightning Bolt. It was back in the Philippines, and FNMs, the card stores in the Philippines are all in like malls. So it was in kind of this little narrow corridor of like in the middle of a mall, tables the size of like your desks at school, super sweaty, but really turns out really like that process, despite the you know really like that process and kind of the grind of it, and kind of just started going from there.
Right. So tell me a bit about your first important MTG result.
First important MTG result was in 2019. I've had a little bit of success here and there, at the local scene before that. Um, have day two a GP or two before that, but 2019 was the first time I ever won a PTQ. It was in standard. I was Is it Phoenix in standard actually, and after winning that PTQ, the 2 weekends after that, there was a GP in Taipei where that was the first PTQ of the next season. Played the exact same 75 and got the PTQ again 2 weeks later, or the PT invite 2 weeks later to the next one. So yeah, chained those two invites in very quick succession. And I would say that was when I really kind of, you know, when it switched on to me that, yeah, I would, very interested in continuing competitive Magic, and kind of, yeah, kept going from there.
Oh, wow. So you qualified up your second PT before you'd been to your first.
So yeah, the first one was for the Pro Tour in Barcelona, which ended up being the Pro Tour Hogak. And then the next one was supposed to be for Richmond, I think of that same year, but I had to defer that one because I had moved to Australia at that point, and I was in uni, couldn't make it due to exams, and needed to defer to the next one, which was the Players Tour in Japan, which was much would have been a much better experience compared to Richmond, I would say. So yeah, enjoyed both of those PTs.
So, what does your professional Magic resume look like?
Yeah, so after qualifying for uh, Barcelona, didn't do too well there. Qualified for the Players Tour, missed requalification by a single match win, which was pretty brutal.
Heartbreaking.
And then super heartbreaking. Then COVID happened, so took a bit of a break, and then with this new system that came up, was really sort of like for me really kind of incentivized me to start playing competitively again because there was a clear pathway, where the tournaments are either here in Melbourne or a short flight away in Sydney. And so I tried to qualify for the very first RC and unfortunately didn't get there. And then haven't missed an RC qualification since. I think I qualified in my fourth regional championship. I was playing Boris Convoke, made top eight on breakers, and from there qualified to Pro Tour uh, MKN in Chicago, and then from there, got an 11.5 finish, which was good enough for the next one. And then kind of just chained PTs from that point onwards.
So you've managed to convert a single RC top 8 into a string of 5 PT appearances and a Worlds invite. What's it like being on the PT train?
It's really good. Really can't complain about it. I was really lucky in the first one to get a record good enough to qualify for Seattle. And training those PTs makes I've been to enough PTs rather that it feels like, it's just something that's always there. I'm always kind of just preparing for the next one, but I have to remember that not to take it for granted, and that one bad tournament could mean falling off the train. So yeah, it's sort of surreal in that sense, and because of that, because of the fact that it's like so hard to get there in the first place, and so easy to fall off. I'm kind of just taking it one tournament at a time, and kind of just enjoying the process for each one and trying my best.
So what's the next big tournament you're preparing for?
Preparing for Pro Tour Final Fantasy, which is on the second last weekend of June. So preparing really hard for that one. Testing has been going pretty well. Testing with a bunch of local players, a bunch of Europeans as well, and yeah, really excited.
Yeah, and how well do you need to go at the next Pro Tour to continue on this train?
I think I need 6. I need to get 6 wins overall, so I need to make day 2, and then somehow not lose all my matches on day 2, and then that would be enough to qualify for the next one in Atlanta later in the year.
Well, hopefully you stay on the train and get to Pro Tour Edge of Eternities. In your experience, Jose, what are some of the major differences between playing in Australia versus playing abroad? America, the Philippines, Europe, etc.?
Yeah, so playing abroad, I can speak to, what Magic was like, playing Magic was like back home in the Philippines. A lot of the stores were a lot smaller, but somehow there was a larger player base. So what that meant was every single tournament was a bit less comfortable, bit longer hours. You started a little bit later in the day. Sometimes you'd finish a tournament at around 10 p.m., 11 p.m. If you had to go through top 8. I would say that during the time that I played there, it was there were a lot more players, and I would say it was a little bit more kind of hostile in terms of the how people would manage judge calls or kind of angle shooting. That might have been a kind of a consequence of that period of Magic in the mid 2010s more than the location, but that was my experience. When I moved here to Australia and started playing the events, I think there really was sort of a culture shock in terms of how accommodating and nice people were in terms of just your interactions. There's always it always has how you're going. They're always when in a casual tournament, I present my deck, they wouldn't cut it, and they'll be like, "You're all good," and that would just be like, I just wouldn't understand that concept.
What are some of the major differences between playing abroad on the Pro Tour and playing in a regional championship?
I think one of the biggest differences is that at the Pro Tour, there's a level of sort of mutual respect between the competitors. And what I mean by that is everyone in that room, knows how hard it is to get to that point, and know that if your opponent is playing in the Pro Tour, they must be good. You know, within the Pro Tour, there's still sort of a range of players play skill. You know, some of them are Hall of Famers, some of them they're playing in their first Pro Tour, but there's always that sort of baseline that everyone put in the work to get there, and you assume that everyone, also correspondingly put in the work to test for that PT. And no one is kind of gaining a huge skill edge advantage, which might be present in sort of the national level tournaments like the regional championships or RCQs.
Yeah, there's almost never free wins on the Pro Tour.
Exactly, yes. I mean, you can still get 3 wins if your opponent mulls a 5 and you draw, double shrapnel blast to get them out the game, but, you wouldn't get 3 wins because your opponent decided to keep a one-lander in a spot where they shouldn't have.
So when you're playing on the Pro Tours, Jose, they ask you which country you would like to represent while you're playing on the Pro Tour for coverage purposes. Why do you choose to play under the Philippine flag instead of the Australian flag?
Honestly, I just never changed it. The first time I played in the Pro Tour, I was still living in the Philippines at the time, and I kind of just wanted to stick to it. Doesn't matter though, because Riley Knight has already claimed me live on coverage as being, Melbourne local, despite the flag shown under my name at the PT coverage. So yeah, that's the reason. Just couldn't be bothered.
So Jose, how did you come to join Quality Lines and the rest of their group?
Oh, it's a really funny story actually. So, in the first season, the first regional championship season, in the RCQs, I played a sealed RCQ where I lost the finals to someone, and I was really down that night because I had already made a couple of top 8s, but could never break through. Fast forward a couple months I decided to still attend the RC anyway to try and LCQ in. As I was sitting in my seat on the plane at 7 a.m., guy sits next to me, and I look to my right, and it's the guy who beat me in the finals at that RCQ. His name's JP. We call him Land Station because he's the great limited player, one of the best. He is traveling with 2 other guys, Antoine and Ethan, who I had briefly met but hadn't gotten to know. And yes, we chatted a little bit on the plane. They asked me to join them in an Uber to the venue that same when we arrived in Sydney, and yeah, from there kind of just vibes were good, and that was kind of the origin story of me joining Quality Lines.
Thank you, Dillon, and the best of luck to you, Jose. Here's hoping for your breakthrough top 8. We're almost out of time, folks, but before I leave you, I'd like to let you know about your chance to win a Black Lotus. MtG Bazaar is putting on a 7-point Highlander event in November in Sydney, and for only a $50 tournament entry fee, you can take your chance to beat everyone who turns up to claim your very own Black Lotus. All the details will be in the description below. I'll see you there. Until next time, I'm your host Ben. Have fun and good luck.